Hi guys, your latest news, Stephen. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered Nigeria's security and intelligence agencies to launch an immediate, coordinated rescue operation to locate and free those victims that were kidnapped in Niger State. Guys, these directives came after armed men attacked communities in Bogu local government area of Niger State, including the Dakiri, Kidanzana and Sabongida areas during a series of attacks last week. This incident has generated nationwide concern after a video emerged appearing to show a large number of kidnapped women, children and elderly people being held in the forest. On Tuesday, that is August 25th, guys, President Tinubu directed the Armed Forces of Nigeria, that is Nigeria Police Force, Department of State Service (DSS), and other relevant security and intelligence agencies to immediately commence a coordinated operation aimed at rescuing these adopted citizens. The President also directed the service chief to keep in regular informed about the operation until the victims are accounted for. This means the response is not just being left to a single security agency. The operation now is expected to involve military personnel, police intelligence officers, and other security structures working together to locate this kidnapper and their captive. Tinubu condemned the attack and also described the perpetrators as enemies of peace and enemies of humanity, while warning that those responsible will not escape justice this time. The mass kidnapping followed coordinated attack on communities in rural areas in the Niger State. Guys, according to reports, armed men invaded communities and targeted worshippers around a mosque during Friday prayer on August 21st. They went to mosque to pray. This attacker abducted residents, including women, children and elderly people. This situation became even more alarming after a video circulated on social media showing what appeared to be hundreds of captives in a forested location. Women, children and elderly people. Guys, this video was circulated through platforms including Facebook and WhatsApp, promoting relatives and residents to appear urgently for government intervention. For families whose relatives may be among these captives, see pain, see stress, they need to pray more. The most important question is now whether security forces can locate these kidnappers before the victims are armed or moved to another location. The involvement of the military and intelligence service is particularly important because kidnapping gangs they often hide captives in difficult to access forest areas. Security agencies now they may need to combine intelligence gathering, surveillance, ground operation and cooperation with local communities to identify the location of the captives. However, authorities have not publicly disclosed detailed operational information. That is understandable because revealing the exact movement of tactics of rescue. So these rescue forces could potentially endanger the hostage because they will know their whole tactics they ought to play. President Tinubu has sought to reassure the families of the victims that the government is committed to bringing their loved ones home safe and sound. In a statement, he said the government will not rest until the abducted Nigeria will safely return. He also condemned the killing of innocent citizens and expressed condolence to the families of those who lost their lives. The president further stated that Nigeria will not surrender to terrorism and criminal violence. This kidnapping was accompanied by deadly violence. So, guys, 30 people were killed during the attacks and were buried on Sunday. Communities affected included Dakira, Gidazana, and Zabongida. Thousands of residents were also displaced like they born with some flew towards neighboring Benin for safety. About 2,000 people ran into neighboring states for safety. Guys, this displacement demonstrates that the incident is bigger than a kidnapping case. It has become a humanitarian and security emergency affecting entire communities. The Niger State incident comes at a time when Nigeria is facing renewed concern over mass kidnapping and insecurity in parts of the country. The scale of this alleged abduction is particularly distributing because many of the reported victims are women, children, and even elderly people. And this country now is one of the biggest mass adoption for the federal government. A successful rescue operation will not only save lives but also could demonstrate that security agencies can respond effectively to large-scale attack. There's also enormous pressure on the government because families they want concrete results, they want their loved ones back. Despite this president's directive, rescue hundreds of people from armed kidnappers is extremely complicated. These captives may be held deep inside forests or move between different locations. Guys, security forces must also consider the safety of the hostage. A poorly planned assault can just lead to loss of all these hostage lives. This is why they need intelligence gathering. Authorities need to determine where the captives are being held, how many people so are actually in captivity because they were having some doubt in the number. Which armed group carried out the attack? How heavily the kidnappers are armed so that they can know how to attack them properly. Whether the victims have been divided into smaller groups or that will make them move. And also whether the kidnappers intend to move the captives as security forces can reach the location without endangering the hostages. All these things I measure, all these points I measure, so major points security personnel are trying to investigate on. Guys, one of the most significant elements of this president directive is that the service chief are expected to provide regular updates on the operation until the abducted victims are accounted for. This places the rescue mission directly under high-level presidential attention. It also means that Nigeria will likely be watching closely for information from the military, police, presidency, and Niger state authorities. Beyond this, their immediate rescue operation in Niger state kidnapping raises broader question about Nigeria's security strategy. How a armed group able to attack several communities and just kidnap about 600 persons, while we large numbers of civilians vulnerable during this attack. This is also a question. How did the attackers manage to move such a large number of people? And most importantly, how can authorities prevent another mass kidnapping after these their current victims are rescued? These questions will remain important even after the immediate crisis is resolved. Nigeria as well has previously carried out their successful large-scale rescue operation earlier in August. The presidency announced the rescue of 208 abducted citizens from Niger and Kwara states, yet describing it as the largest same-day rescue operation conducted by the Joint Security Team. That operation involved the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Armed Forces and the DSS and police. That previous operation would also provide valuable experience of the current mission. At this moment now, the biggest concern is the safety of the hostage. Families are waiting for confirmation that their relatives are all alive. Communities affected by this attack zone want protection against further attacks, and Nigeria across the country are waiting to see whether the government's promise of a full-scale coordinated rescue operation will result in the safe return of these victims. Yes, President Tinubu has made it clear that the government intends to pursue the kidnappers and rescue those being held. These coming days will therefore be crucial. The central question is no longer simply how many people were kidnapped. The major question is, can Nigeria's security forces locate these captives, defeat the kidnappers, and bring the victims home alive? Thanks for listening. Don't forget to always stay updated by subscribing, liking, ringing the notification bell, and sharing.